The Lingayats and the Vokkaligas in Karnataka are extremely powerful people. Those are the two dominant caste groupings. They are dominant in terms of power. They are dominant in terms of money. They are dominant in terms of social influence. Why are there other backward classes? They are not a backward caste also. They are not a backward, neither of these are backward castes. These are people who have access to everything, which even the upper castes do not have access to. So if you go to North India, for example, again look at the reservation system based in caste. Yadavs, Khurmis. Now these are very powerful people. Look at who are all the ruling uh, people uh, in North India. The Yadavs in Uttar Pradesh, Mulayam Singh Yadav and his family. In Bihar, it is Lalu Prasad Yadav and his family. If you go to Uttar Pradesh's present chief minister, he calls himself Yogi, wears saffron, but he's a BC, is what he claims. He's a backward caste, according to his own definition. How is he a backward caste? He's the chief minister of the state. So a caste is a social division. A class is an economic division. So you can't give reservations on the basis of a caste when you're saying that this reservation is for other backward classes. And where are the original backward classes? Where are they? Okay, and we do very funny things. The first state in our country which brought in this OBC division was Tamil Nadu. And to answer your question, Madam Rachna, if you look at the state of Tamil Nadu, the entire politics, economics are dominated by, except in Coimbatore, where you have upper castes. Everywhere else, it is dominated by this so-called backward castes. So-called. Okay, and by doing supernumerary thing, they even tricked the Supreme Court, which said you cannot alter the basic structure of the Constitution. So reservations cannot exceed 50%. They've tricked the court and they give reservations up to 67%. Now, if you look at the states of Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana, the scheduled castes have benefited, especially in Andhra Pradesh. Especially in Andhra Pradesh, they have benefited from various, in various ways, basically because of missionary, Christian missionary activity. They have benefited. Okay, they write their names as Hindus, but they basically they fill up forms and they write their caste and say they are Hindus, but they are Christians. Basically, they are Christians. Their education has been funded by Christian missionaries. I remember the days when I was in JNU. One of the things that was so striking was that all the SC reservations, in all the various schools and centers of study were dominated by Telugu people. That means the SC reservation worked here. There were no SCs from North India. And I don't know if you know this, but when the Mandal Commission was introduced, some of the people said, we will not let the SCs vote. We will not let them vote. Tamil Nadu, which is where I began, no SCs have prospered there. It's just BC. SCs have been completely trampled by these OBCs. Actually, I wrote another book some time ago in which I wrote about this in fair amount of detail. I may have a couple of extra copies. Does anyone want them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because I wrote about this paradox in that book. Okay. In the title of that book is 21st Century Politics in India. Okay. And in that, I wrote this. And I also talked about family rule. Look at the Congress, Sonia Gandhi. She gave us, the Congress people don't lose an opportunity to say, Sonia Gandhi gave us separate Telangana. Is that a thing to talk about? One person in a democracy? Who the hell is Sonia Gandhi to give you or not give you a state? But that's how it is. And look at the other states, all regional satraps. Okay. Uttar Pradesh, Mulayam Singh Yadav and his family, they dominate. If you go to Bihar, Lalu Prasad Yadav and his family, they dominate. You come to Telangana, KCR and his family, they dominate. At one time, it was N.T. Ramarao's family dominating the undivided Andhra Pradesh. But now in the residuary Andhra Pradesh, who's dominating? Rajshekhar Reddy's family, his son is dominating. For the time being, Chandrababu Naidu is finished. I have a feeling, it's just a feeling, not a scientific thing, that he's never ever going to come back to power. I think Telugu Desam party is on its way out. It's almost dead. So you see the kind of regional satraps, families. In Tamil Nadu, Karunanidhi's family now. So we have all these contradictions. We have all these contradictions. You can't call OBC and give reservations on the basis of caste. You cannot do that. If you want to give reservations on the basis of caste, just say BCs. Call them BCs, say backward castes. We'll worry about the fact whether they deserve the reservation or not later. But at the time of the formulation of the policy itself, you cannot call it other backward classes when you haven't identified backward classes, the original backward classes. In relation to them, you should have the other backward classes. But where are the original backward classes? Which are the original backward classes? That we didn't do. We said OBC, other backward classes. But you give reservations on the basis of caste. So where is the class? Where is the class? There is no class. Like I said, a class is an economic denomination. A caste is a social denomination. So you're giving it the name of an economic denomination, but you are giving the reservation on the basis of a social denomination. And that too, in most cases, to people who are already powerful. Even in Telangana, the Yadavs and the Gauds, they are pretty powerful. They come under OBC, but they are castes. And they're pretty powerful castes. They can control a lot of things. So these are some of the contradictions that exist in our system. I always appreciate what Chandrabhan Prasad, who's an SC leader, what he once said on NDTV. Those days still news was not rubbish like what it is today. In those days, Chandrabhan Prasad made a statement. He said the biggest blunder committed in this particular country is giving the Mandal Commission reservations. He said, when it comes to scheduled castes, there is a consensus in the country that these are people who have for centuries been dominated. These are people who have been dominated for centuries. So nobody ever said, or not too many people have said, why reservations for the SCs? He said there is a consensus that there is a necessity for SC reservation. But he said, why BC, this OBC? This has disrupted the entire consensus that existed on the reservation policy, which is true. It's a very smart observation on the part of Chandrababu Prasad. So he says now, even the SC reservation has been dragged into the equation of Y reservation. Till then, nobody said Y reservation for the SCs. But once you gave this OBC reservation on the basis of caste, then SCs also got dragged into Y reservations. Anyway, so does that answer your question, Padma?
Yes, sir, I think.
You think, you are not sure. Which part of it have I not answered?
But these disruptions, these namings, these distortions will remain, I guess, for some real long time in future too.
They are not going to go for the simple reason. This is something that I will talk about when we talk about Jati, Varna, and caste, which I still haven't finished. When I talk about that, I will tell you why they'll not go. And let me give you a small example. In 1956, a few months before Ambedkar died, Ambedkar himself said that the reservation policy in India was a blunder. He said it was a blunder because of the fact, he said, when I asked for reservations, I expected those people, the first generations, who basically will benefit from the reservations to give a helping hand to their brethren and pull them up also. Pull them up also. But he said that didn't happen. Those who have enjoyed the reservations identify themselves with the upper castes. They consider themselves now to be the equals of upper castes, and they get into that league. They are not bothered about these people. Dipankar Gupta, a sociologist, he took this very example from Ambedkar, and he said there is now an intermediary elite because reservations for the scheduled castes have been, what should I say? They have been uh, cornered by those families that benefited from the reservations for the first time. So he said that these people have become an intermediary elite. Okay. And actually, I can give you an example. There was an IAS officer in the undivided Andhra Pradesh, a pretty well-known IAS officer, Mr. Ramakrishnaya. He was quite well known, supposed to be a, what should I say, an honest and sincere officer. His children were my friends. Decent people, all of them. So please don't misunderstand me. Now, his children went to Hyderabad Public School. From Hyderabad Public School, they went to Nizam College. Nizam College in those days is not what it is now. Now it's a dump. It's a garbage dump. But in those days, Nizam College was a good college. Everybody knew it. I don't know if you know this. Nizam College is older than Osmania University. Nizam College was established in 1887 and it was affiliated to the University of Madras. In 1948, when English medium was finally introduced in Osmania University, then Nizam College was brought under Osmania University. Okay, and while we studied there, teachers who had been recruited by the Nizam College, they couldn't be transferred from there. They were there, they were good teachers there. And so it was a good place. So his sons went to Nizam College. From there, they went to JNU. And then what happens? One of the sons gets a score of something like 61% in the civil service examinations. He gets a score of 61%. And he becomes an Indian Foreign Service officer. Why? Because he used his reservation. If he had not used his reservation, he would not have even got any service, maybe Group B services, as they were called then. He may have made into one of those. But IFS is top. Where is the deficit? They were economically well off. He had access to the best education system. and yet got just 61% and went on to become an IAFS officer. His children now, his brother became an IAS officer in similar fashion. Their children are all going to wonderful schools and all that. Do they need reservation now? So my teacher, Sudipto Kaviraj, he had, in those days, there was a magazine called the Illustrated Weekly of India, which was edited, I think, by Pritish Nandi. In that, there was an interview with Sudipto Kaviraj. And in response to a question, Sudipto Kaviraj said that I agree with Deepankar Gupta that this intermediary elite is not allowing other people to come up because they have cornered the reservations. So Pritish Nandi then asked him, what is the solution? And Sudipto Kaviraj basically said, a maximum of 2 generations should enjoy reservations. After that, you have to give up. Voluntarily, he said. He didn't even say, let the state take away. He said, if you are really concerned about the stigma that is attached to your brethren, then you should voluntarily give up your reservation. Otherwise, now you're creating a new kind of a stigma that here are these inefficient people, despite going to best institutions of education, despite having all the good things in life, they are still cornering the benefits. And how do you justify this?
So it is their conscience which should say them to forego these rights, sir. But on the other hand, they too can say that this is the system, so why should they forego something which the system is giving them?
No, it is not giving only to you. It's not giving only to you. See, please understand one thing. Okay. There has been a demand to basically increase the age of superannuation for university teachers from 60. Central universities give up to 65. Okay, they give them up to 65. But in Telangana, it's 60. In Andhra Pradesh, it is 62. Now, I am one of those people who is vociferously opposed to have raised the age of superannuation from 60 to 65. And by the way, the UGC also says that if your contribution is great, you can work for another 5 years. You can work up to 70. This is not America. Okay, in America, there's no system of retirement at all. People don't retire. Why? Because they have so many resources, they have so much of everything, and therefore, and their population is small. So it doesn't really matter if there is no retirement or superannuation. But in India, second most populous nation in the world, in another 3 years will be 3 to 5 years, we'll be the most populous nation in the world. There are people, okay, today we are showing GDP, we are showing some kind of per capita income and saying that we have now gone into the category of developed countries. We are no longer underdeveloped countries or developing countries. We are saying all these things. In this country, there are so many, the average age of Indians is 26. The average age, not death, the population. Maximum number of people are somewhere near 26 years of age. That is what actually is technically called the population dividend. Okay, it's called the population dividend. So 26, Japan 80. Now, in Japan, it makes sense. If the average age is 80, let them work till they're 70, 75, or even 80 if they want. But here, why are you extending the age of superannuation? In governmental organizations, why are you extending the age of superannuation? When there is such a big
Wait here.
body of youth, there is a big body of youth who basically need to get into jobs. We have created a rich class. In my time, people used to go to America after they finish their graduation. But today we have, like I said, because of certain reasons, the disposable incomes have become quite a few, quite big in certain families. And these people are now sending their children for undergraduate courses to America. A time will come when they'll also send them to schools in America. What will happen to those people? What will happen to those people who cannot go abroad or who don't have the money to run their own enterprises? They need jobs. And who are these people? Most of them are scheduled castes. You're stopping, you're standing by saying that let's increase the age of superannuation. You're making sure that people who need jobs don't have jobs. So why increase the age of superannuation? Only 19% are in government and most institutions are getting private. No, that is again a very bad thing. Okay, Akshay Punit Garu, that is a very bad thing. It is absconding of responsibility by the government. We have not reached that stage where the government cannot or will not, what should I say, uh, take on the responsibility of educating their people and giving them jobs. Now, I don't know if when you did your international relations, if you look at the idea of the nation states, there are two kinds of nation states. You have that which is called the Westphalian nation state. And then you have the other one, which is called the post-colonial nation state. Now, Westphalian nation states are Europe, America, all the rich countries in the world. Post-colonial nation states are countries like India. In post-colonial nation states, we cannot have a laissez-faire minimal state. That works in the Westphalian system because of the fact that they are completely well off. There you can say, keep out of our lives, we'll do what we want. But in a post-colonial nation state, the idea of welfare is most relevant. The idea of welfare is most relevant. And if we are not taking care of that, then it will be called a failed state. I think India was not a failed state, but it is on its way to becoming a failed state. Government is now getting rid of its responsibilities. You're talking about 19% of the jobs. At least in the 19% of those jobs, let younger people get it. Why do you want old fellows sitting there? Why do you want old people sitting there? Maybe 19% only. So, I don't know. Are you satisfied with that?
I said that 1% of jobs are in goats, sir. No, sir.
Sorry?
1% of jobs are in government sector.
Mm.
Even those jobs are getting privatized by selling of stakes to private.
precisely, that's what I'm saying. Absconding its responsibility. That is what I'm trying to tell you. The state, by increasing privatization, is absconding. And in India now we have crony capitalism. Okay, Gautam Adani, Mukesh Ambani, these are the people who are benefiting most because they are close friends of Mr. Narendra Modi. So you are only saying what, strengthening what I am saying. If you are under the impression that you're contradicting me, you're not. You're strengthening what I'm saying. We need to be a post-colonial welfare state, which we are not being. Which we are not being. That is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, sir.
Are you sure that you're happy with my answer?
Yes, sir.
So, Madam
What do you
Padma,
say, sir? Is it necessary to have reservations, or is it redundant to
reservations,
have
see, I think what Sudipta Kaviraj said is very sensible. 2 generations, give them reservation, give them the best possible. I actually don't like this idea of private schools. You should have what Germany has. Education is provided only by the government from KG to PhD. And it's provided free of cost. And they provide very good quality, what should I say, very good quality education. Now, if you say we are not a rich country, every day I look at the newspapers, Jagananna is doing this, Jagananna is doing that, is the first thing that I see as soon as I see open the newspaper, because he's putting ads there. If you stop spending money on rubbish like that, you can pay teachers without collecting fees from students. I believe school students should go to school wearing uniforms so that nobody should think this person is richer, that person is poorer. You should have that uniform for people, and the government should provide free education to all and good quality education. It can be done. It can
Yes,
be
sir.
done.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Padma Madam Garu,
Sir, I would like to add a point.
add.
Yeah, we talk so much about these the casteist ideologies, reservations. We all know that these have assumed so much importance, in our socio-political spheres. But but in this 21st century, we, giving them so much importance, thronging upon them as a progressing nation. Is that important? Are these um so
Man,
important that we are actually focusing only on them, keeping the other important things aside? So we are actually making these as the main themes and moving forward. So we shouldn't let these things to become the central things
no, like I said,
in today's.
that is because of bad policy construction, bad policy implementation. If you do a good job of it, by now, at least 10 generations would have actually benefited. But because we made, when we talk about caste, which we didn't, I will make this point. What has happened is that there is no percolation of benefits down to people. So they are remaining backward. As long as they are remaining backward, they will obviously talk about these things. They will talk about these things because they are backward. You and I can say, why talk about them? Because we are comfortable. But what about those people who are not comfortable? So it's a relevant issue. There's no doubt about that. And
Yeah.
it is an issue that has been very badly handled. Very badly handled. I'll talk about it as a political variable and how it has become a way to keep people backward in order to get vote banks.
Yeah, exactly. We can find solutions, but we
No, we
are
don't
not
want
willing
to.
to. Yeah,
No, we are finding problems to solutions.
correct.
Mm. Okay, then
Yes.
uh, we'll get back to what Akshay Puneet Podushetty Pantulu asked me, and I have been going on and on without finishing it. Tomorrow we'll finish that discussion. Okay, the discussion on caste, jati, varna. We'll finish that tomorrow. Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Sir, we are having an evening class.
Evening class.
Policy studies.
Let's start tomorrow because I didn't give it thought. I
Okay.
got caught up in some other problem. So we'll start tomorrow.
Okay, sir. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.